Welcome to Cricbuzz Chatter in association with Cricbuzz 11, the fantasy gaming app from the House of Cricbuzz. Date 1 at Manchester. Test match number 4. A lot of things happen. And we'll speak and discuss all of that with Mr. Michael Vaughan, who's sitting to my left. A couple of good 50s from Indians. Lovely bowling by Ben Stokes. It was a game that seesawed, but it finished at 264 for 4. Mr. Michael, let me start off by asking, who do you think is on top at the end of this day?
First and foremost, good evening, everyone. I like the fact you're calling me Mr. Michael. I love that a lot. I think England and I'll say why. I think this pitch is a good one. I don't think it'll deteriorate too much. I think the rough will play a part probably on day 4 or 5, but I think in the first inning of the game, 400, 450 is going to be around par, and Rishabh Pant. The injury to Rishabh Pant is just a massive moment in this game, obviously in the series. And from what I saw with him being stretchered off, that lump on his foot, it looks a bad one. So I hope that's not the case, and I hope he can come back and play on day 2. But from what I saw, it looks like he might not play much more part in the game. And England just kind of stuck to their guns. They bowled nicely, could have quite easily had 2 or 3 more. Probably beat the outside edge on 30, 40 occasions. Could have bowled maybe a bit fuller in the morning session, bowled a bit fuller in the afternoon, and they got their rewards for it. But overall, 264, India ahead. And I'll go back 10 or 15 years ago. I think we'd have been saying, India have got the better of the day. And obviously England will have to bat last. But the way that this England side play and the way that they're not scared of the chase, I think England will be quite pleased with their performance today.
It's very interesting. First thing, Michael does a lot of work for BBC. I do a bit of work for Sky here. Interestingly, in the BBC box, they feel England is ahead. In the Sky box, they feel the game is just on par purely because of one reason, which Michael said, which is Rishabh Pant. There's so much riding on that man. It's not even funny. As Rishabh Pant walked into bat, the applause was at its loudest. And all of that was set up because if we are speaking about the fact that India are very much in this game, it is because of a brilliant opening partnership between Yashasvi and KL. Let's start with Yashasvi actually. The only test match that he didn't get a 50 was in the Lord's Test, and he kind of got, can't say found out, but a couple of good balls. One that just beat him from length on the leg stump, another one where he pulled, just felt that he was mid muddle. But it gave the feeling that he came with a plan, he had rectified a couple of things. What was your impressions of him today?
Well, Yashasvi is an aggressor, and to play Test match cricket for a long period of time, there's no way that you can just play one way. And what I really liked about him today was that he had to play the attritional way. He had to leave the ball. He had to kind of play tight. The ball passed his outside edge on a number of occasions, but he wasn't disturbed by that. Every now and again, he played the square cut. He played a pull shot of Chris Woakes early as well. Against spin, I mean, he's worked so hard against the seamers, and it wasn't easy because the ball started to move around. He will be disappointed that he got out to a left-arm spinner that didn't spin it. He just kind of drifted one away. It was a good piece of bowling, clever piece of bowling, but I just think Yashasvi will be pleased with his efforts against the seam, but just for that split moment, that split second, which is all it takes in any level of cricket, and the outside edge was found. But his approach and his discipline from his natural game, which is to be aggressive, to be attacking, he couldn't quite achieve that. Maybe because he wasn't seeing it quite as well. Maybe it's because of the pitch. But I like players that can just change and just go within themselves to try and do something differently to their natural traits when it's not quite possible to play your natural game.
I want to ask you this. When an Indian team tours England, a lot of batters have come and gone during the day. The one thing that they would feel really bad is if they've gone past the good fast bowling spell and then get out to spinner, they'd feel like really upset. Is that the same for you guys? When you come to India, you just play some real hard spin and a fast bowler comes and you get out. Do you feel as annoyed?
You're like, oh my word, I've just worked so hard against Kumble and Harbhajan, and then suddenly I know Ganguly comes up and gets you out LBW. I guess so, but sometimes at this level you work so hard, and probably Yashasvi over the course of the last few days has been working so hard to think about Jofra Archer, because Jofra had him twice at Lords and he saw off Jofra, and he could see he was really working hard against him, and then he was working hard against Chris Woakes, then Ben Stokes, then Bryden Cars. And then the spinner comes on and nothing really happens. He played the first over quite nicely. And it's just one split second. It's just one split seconds of concentration, not quite getting your technique right, just opening the blade. If he'd have played it with a straight bat, the edge would have probably gone square of the wicket. He's playing well enough. What I like about him, and I like teams and I like players that bounce back from disappointment. And what I saw today from Yashasvi Jaiswal on the back of what he delivered at Lords, which for his kind of high standards was a poor week, he's bounced back again today. So that shows that he's made of some tough stuff. He's made of some tough stuff inside, and also he's got the kind of ability inside to play a different style of cricket, which is what you need at this level.
Yeah, I also thought it was a nice piece of captaincy from Stokes. He had short point, he had short mid off, and he had a deep extra cover. Probably in looking for that single, just opened his face of the bat a little bit and got the edge. But what they did do, that opening partnership was very special. Got to understand, Manchester was cloudy, overcast, and Ben Stokes
It,
won the
it
toss.
always is.
You know, that's true. That's true. And Ben Stokes, as expected, won the toss and bowled first. We'll come back to that as well. But anyway, for the moment, let's just stick to them bowling first. So, as an opening partnership, it's always the challenge to get past the first hour. But they did quite nicely. They got 94 together before they fell just after lunch, especially KL. But what did you enjoy about that partnership?
Yeah, I mean, what I like about the opening partnership, I mean, I love left hand, right hand. And you
Okay.
can possibly get left hand, right hand at the top of the order. I like an aggressor, and which is Yashasvi Jaiswal on a more consistent basis. He likes to get after, but today wasn't possible. But in KL Rahul, I think we've got the best technician. I would say probably the best technician across both teams. You know, I
Wow.
think his technique is so pure to play the new ball with so much control, forward and back, front and back foot, defence, leaving. Then he's got that lovely cut shot. He's got that lovely punch through the offside. I think England are trying to get the ball to come back to him. I think that's the target.
Yeah, the leg slip, isn't it? Early.
Yeah, I think that ball that comes back is probably the area. He's such a good offsided player that he's got a little bit of a blind spot to that ball that nips back. Ben Stokes did for him at Lords in the second innings with that ball that came back up the slow. But in terms of a calmness and a technique, oh, I could watch him all day long. He just makes batting look so pure, so easy. I think he switched off actually for his dismissal. It was just a little bit of a prod to Chris Wokes. I don't think it was a ball there really to punch down the ground. It was a ball to defend, and he just created a bit of momentum towards the ball, which allowed the ball to carry through to Zach Crawley. But in terms of a combination at the top of the order, I think the Yashasvi and KL, apart from Lords, they have been so consistent throughout the series. They've set the foundation. And when you think Ben Stokes wins the toss and bowls, and I thought there'd be more movement.
Okay.
I did expect more movement this morning. There wasn't, but there was still enough. There was still enough that if you weren't controlled and you weren't concentrated as an opening batter, India could easily have been 2 or 3 down in the first hour in English conditions on any surface. It's just the nature of the Duke ball. It always offers you a little bit. But that pair, this series, apart from Lords, have been really controlled, really focused. And so far, they've given India some really good foundations.
You couldn't have said it any better, Michael, because KL Rahul is probably the most versatile player, not only because of where he can bat in the ground. Say a situation like today where Pant is injured and he's not there to keep, Dhruv Jurel will come in, but he could also keep if you need. And he's played 48% of his test career outside of India in Sena countries. And Sena is always a big challenge: South Africa, England, New Zealand, and Australia. These four are always looked at as a big challenge for a batter, and he's done so well. And the one thing that he's always done, keep India in the contest no matter where he goes with the bat and if required in the field with his slip catching. And in same vein, you can also play so many contests if you download the Cricbuzz 11 app. All you need to do is download it and pay 1 rupee, and you're good to play a lot of the contests that are available on that app. And another person who did really nicely, very impressive. In his first outing in Leeds, he tried hard, but after that he was dropped. But in this game, he gets his opportunity back and he fought it out there. Sai Sudharsan. You have actually seen a lot of Sai Sudharsan when you have traveled to our Cricbuzz office watching IPL, and he played in a different gear altogether. Today, he was a different batter, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he's got time, and that's something you always look for. I mean, again, attritional play today because it was required. He's such a flamboyant player that you see in the IPL. He smacks it to all parts, and there was 1 or 2 flourishes today. The pull shot, there was a little punch through the offside, a little cover drive off the spin. I thought, well, yeah, that's what I've been watching over the course of the last few years in the IPL. But I like the fact that he hung in there. And I always look at players and think, has he got a lot of time? And he looks like he's got so much time against the quick bowlers, which is a great trait to have. You know him a lot more than I do. So I'll ask you. I mean, I think he's going to be here for a long period of time. I think it was a good move, actually. I thought at the start of the day's play, Karen, no, that's a bit harsh. But then I thought, yeah, they've got to look to the future. And he's going to be around the Indian Test team, probably the Indian teams for a number of years. But you know him a lot more than I do. What is it that he brings to this team and his preparation, everything that he goes about his business?
I watched him as a young boy when he was about 17, 18. He's still young, to be fair. But the fact is that he brings one aspect that every sportsman needs, that is discipline. Everything that he does off the field is so consistent, be it his work in the gym, meditation, stretching, and he is so intense and does it properly. You just knew he couldn't fail. I think he's destined for success, and I genuinely wish that he is given a long run at number 3, because he's playing in probably one of the toughest conditions he's going to face. It was overcast, and you know how Manchester is. It's not easy to bat on day one, and he did fight it out. He has made sure that He was there for long periods of time. In fact, I don't think he brought out a lot of the shots. It was all about defense. Anything on the stumps, he just looked to flick it. But most importantly, what I really enjoyed was his determination. He wanted to make it count today. He didn't want to give it away easy. And that I enjoyed about him. And that is the most important aspect of him that I enjoy the most, because he came in as someone with very little shots. Actually, he was a talented guy, but not with so many shots. That he improved. Today, he's also shown the courage to play in tough conditions against a very good bowling attack. And Ben Stokes is probably bowling as well as he has ever done. He saw through all of it. At the start, the ball was swinging. He did beautifully. And there were also a couple of changes today. Apart from Sai Sudarshan, there were three totally that India made. One was Sai Sudarshan for Karun Nair. A couple more was Shardul Thakur and Anshul Kamboj. How did you see those two changes, Michael?
Yeah, I mean, I have to wait and see for Anshul Kamboj on his debut to see how he bowls. And, he's probably a better batter than we've seen at number 9 for India throughout the series. So he might get a chance to score a few runs tomorrow. Well, he will do. Shardul Thakur, it feels to me that it could be last chance saloon.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes when you're not expected to play, and then you get the chance to play, you produce a bit of magic. And he played well tonight with the bat. His style of bowling on this kind of surface historically has not been that popular. The swing style bowlers here at Old Trafford have usually been the kind of bowlers that you like to face. Generally, he would bowl better at the oval where it kind of kisses the surface, as we saw the last time India were here. But in terms of the way that he batted, he's come at the expense of Nitish Kumar already, who's got that knee injury. I like the way that he batted. He looked like he freed up a little bit, and that's what he's got to do tomorrow morning. He's got to free up, play a few shots. I feel he's a better player when he's being more aggressive. So the changes, look, I don't mind them. I don't mind them. The fact that Bumrah's played again is the most impressive thing, because there was always a whisper of, does Jasprit play? Will he play 3? Can he play 4? Well, he had to play here. With India 2-1 down in the series, Jasprit Bumrah had to play. And can India go 3 games with Jasprit and lose all 3? We'll have to wait and see. But he is the one problem for England on this kind of surface. I always say, whatever the surface, there's a surface that you judge both teams on, both bowling units, and then there's a surface that you judge Jasprit Bumrah on. And he could be the difference on this kind of pitch.
But there's 2 questions I need to ask you, just following through this. One, the big one that everybody speaks about, Kuldeep Yadav. If you were the Indian coach, would you have thought about playing him?
Well, I would at the start, but I'd look at the 3 performances so far and think, we should have won 3 games and Kuldeep didn't play, so let's carry on without Kuldeep Yadav. And on this kind of surface, maybe on days 4 and 5, he would play a part, but at the expense of who? And with Washington and Jadeja, obviously 2 all-round players, that all-round quality on these kind of wickets, I think, is more valuable. A luxury player who can just bowl. You've got to be some bowler on these kind of wickets. A Bumrah style bowler, and some would argue that Kuldeep Yadav is in that kind of category. But I would have started him at the start of the series, but since India have played well without him, I've kind of looked and gone, they've probably got it right in the balance of what the teams that they've picked.
This last question is just yes or no, nothing more than that. If India win this test, will you play Bumrah at Oval or no?
Yes.
You have to.
He has to play. I mean, if they lose this test series gone, I'm sure he'll rest. But if it's 2-2 going down to the Oval, Jasprit has to play.
And with that, let's just go straight to the hotspot. The most sensitive moment of the day came when Rishabh Pant was batting on 37, and he played a couple of outlandish shots, a sweep of Chopra Archer. He stepped out soon after tea and went after 1. All of that he did. But the beauty is he was looking solid. A typical Pant innings, and then he played a freakish reverse sweep where he got the inside edge onto his toe and he was taken away in a golf cart. How big a loss is this for the test, for India, and in general the series as well, if he doesn't come back to play?
Well, it's massive. I mean, to play against an England side in the UK with 11 players, it's not easy. If you try and take England on with 10 players, which it could be possible, well, should I say 10 batters from here on in, obviously they can have the keeper, which is absolutely fine. But I don't like the rules that we have in the game. We've had a concussion substitution for a while now. I'd love to see a replacement substitute. If Rishabh Pant has broken his foot on the first day of a test match, why are we allowing the game another 4 days to go with a team down to 10 men? He's broken his foot. Clear and obvious substitute should be replaced, be able to replace someone with a clear and obvious injury. Nathan Lyon walked off at Lords in the last Ashes series. It's quite obvious he'd ruptured his calf. If it happens in the first innings, I'm not saying in the second innings, late on in the Test match, but in the first innings of the game, I think if there's a clear and obvious injury, a break of the hand, a break of the foot, a rupture of a calf, or a real rupture of a tear of a hamstring, I would have a substitute. We have them for concussion. Why not for clear and obvious injury? I know there'll be skullduggery, and I know there'll be grey areas, and I know all sorts of things may come into it. But when I see something like that, and if Rishabh has gone to hospital, I'm sure he has, and is clearly cracked that foot, I don't know, but maybe he has. If there's a clear crack on the scan and he can't play any more part in this Test match, any more part in the series, I believe that we should be having subs in Test match cricket.
But also, do you think the fact that Rishabh Pant being around or not around will be the difference between India getting 350 and 400? And if that happens, what is the difference between a 350 and a 400 in a test like this?
I think India will. Well, I think they need at least 350, and if they get 350, we'll have to wait and see if it's a kind of a competitive total. It can be here at Old Trafford, but this England side have played well here, and they play well on this kind of surface. There's not a great deal of lateral movement. And usually, like Zach Crawley got a tremendous 100 here against Australia just a couple of years ago. They like to throw their hands at the ball, and they can get away with when the ball doesn't laterally move as much, which is generally the case here at Old Trafford. So I do think India need over 400 to put England in a precarious position in the first innings. But Rishabh missing out and not playing any more part in this game will be a big blow, because I'm all about the entertainment. I want Test cricket to be the best format in terms of the visual and the product and the combative nature that we've seen throughout the series. I just hate to think that from here until the end of the Test match, England are playing against 10 men.
I couldn't agree with Michael more. There's no one that's more interesting and thrilling to watch than a Rishabh Pant. But the one thing that's been very thrilling from the outside is every time we have gone to a venue, you have said England will bat first. But England have ended up bowling first. You said it at Headingley, at Manchester, and they've exactly done the opposite, and they've done it consistently as well.
Yeah, well, I thought they'd bowl today because of the conditions over the last few days. So it was no surprise to me today that Ben decided to bowl first. The clouds were around. We've had moisture and rain for the last few days. I thought the ball would do a lot more on day one here at Old Trafford. I mean, the history tells you that you don't win a game of cricket when you bowl first. But I will say the last time England played Australia here, they did exactly the same, and they would have won that Test match.
Correct.
Rained on the last day. So there's some stats that kind of just get kind of twisted into a narrative that's not quite there. And also, this pitch has only been this way round 11 times, so it's not really the history of Old Trafford. That's the other way around, which we're talking about. This England side can win from this position. That's the way that they play. They're not worried about the chase. I actually looked back to Lords when they batted first, and I thought England looked really confused batting in the third innings. They didn't know really how to play it because they've not really been in that situation many times. When they're chasing a number and seeing a first innings score, even if a team get 500, they're not scared by it. We've seen that over the course of the last 3 or 4 years. So that's why I think India need to get a decent number, and then it'll come down to that Bumrah opening burst to get 2 or 3, and they've got to hope that those footholds which they can develop here at Old Trafford start to bring a bit of Washington and Jadeja into play.
See, the question that I just asked you, you can never ask me that back. What would India do if we win the toss? Because we don't win the toss.
You don't win. You've lost 4 in 4.
14 consecutively so far.
I don't.
It's a world record.
I wouldn't want to go to the casino with Shubman.
I think it's not just Shubman. Rohit Sharma has been awful in tosses as well. But anyway, the one change that England were forced to make was Liam Dawson. I thought he bowled beautifully. But this one change was a forced change, and I thought he did beautifully well. Your thoughts on Liam Dawson?
Yeah, I mean, I think England are a stronger team with Liam Dawson in it. I think the all-round package, again, on these kind of wickets, that they're not bringing a great deal for the spinner. And England are going to bowl first. You need a holding bowler who can bat and field. Shoaib Bashir is a real aggressive, kind of over-the-top spin bowler. And I think the way that India have played Shoaib in the series, they've kind of milked him. And every now and then they've tried to whack him. And, you know, they've had a few wickets caught on the boundary. But I think Liam Dawson is that holding bowler as a skipper. You just throw in the ball and just say, hold me an end. And more often than not, I think, you know, as a skipper, he's going to deliver that, and you can rotate the seamers from the other end. He kind of bowls those under spinners, and he has the square of the wicket fields because he's saying to the batters, go on, try and sweep me. Try and sweep. You know, India should realise that. I think they did, particularly left-handers dancing down and hitting him over the top. I think that's probably the option, or Shubman dancing down and hitting him over mid-on. I think that's probably the way that the batters will play Liam Dawson, because what he wants them to do is play the sweeps, because he's only a small chap and he doesn't get a lot of bounce, so he's trying to get under the bat. But yeah, it was good to see him back 8 years in the waiting for Liam to play Test match cricket again. Thought he did a good job.
You speak about Shubman Gill dancing down the track, but now twice on the bounce, he's gotten out to the ball coming back in. And that's an area of vulnerability that everybody was speaking about before the start of the series. He was outstanding in the first 4 or 5 innings that he played. But now two on the bounce, he's gone back to the ball that's come back.
Yeah, that's the target. That is the target. I mean,
They're looking at that, isn't it?
oh, without any question, yeah. I think that's the real main threat to a lot of right-handers.
And the main guy who can see every time a batter comes in and he knows there's a vulnerability, he tries to expose it, is Ben Stokes. He's been brilliant, isn't it?
Ben Stokes is the most skillful bowler in the England side. He's got, the pace. That ball was 88 miles an hour, that did for Shubman Gill.
Oh, wow.
So 88 miles an hour, and it's his skill. And you're right, he can expose even the Sai Sudharsan, the bouncer was right on them. And he could see the pull shot. He'd had this field set on the leg side.
Correct.
And he knew that he was going to take it on. He got it right in the armpit zone.
Correct. He actually pretty early on had him down the leg as well, similar to the first innings at Leeds as well.
Should have been taken.
Should have been taken by Jamie. Don't be hard on the keeper. That wobble, you know how hard that can be. Come on, Michael, you stood it slip. But in all fairness, it looked a very simple catch, but I'm sure it wasn't. He got into a bit of a tangle, Jamie Smith. But the fact is that Ben Stokes, almost every time, he's exposing any vulnerability any batter has got, and that comes with pure skill, because there are other bowlers who have that skill, but he seems to exactly find a way to exploit a weakness that a batsman has.
The more I watch England and the more I see Ben, and he's bowled beautifully all summer, the more I look at England and go, if I take Ben out, how do England look? I think, you wouldn't mind playing against England without Ben Stokes.
Yes.
With Ben Stokes, they are a formidable cricket team. They've got so much depth. They've got the tactical nous, the mentality, everything required for a real high quality cricket team. But if you took Ben Stokes out, I look down and go, ooh, there's a problem.
And we spoke about Ben Stokes, and hence, what is Ben Stokes going to do tomorrow? So it's time to get into fast forward. Michael, the one thing that we're really proud at Cricbuzz is your ability to be that octopus, to see into the future. What do you see tomorrow panning out to be?
This is a tricky one.
Is it? Michael Vaughan,
Manchester, when the clouds are around, it just gets into my head a little bit.
So your ability to predict becomes
it comes out. I have to look at the sky. I can't see the sky. I feel that Bumrah in the opening burst.
Okay, let me just kind of simplify it for you. What's England going to be happy with? What's India going to be happy with?
I think England will be happy with 330, 340.
Nice.
New ball during the morning, and they'll try and expose that. They'll try and bowl a bit fuller than they did with the new ball on day one. I think we'll be in for a game where England will get to near on parity, and then it become a one innings contest.
Just like Lords.
That's my prediction.
Ooh.
But Rishabh Pant is going to be a big.
He is the big one, isn't
it? Big miss, because in the second innings, if it's parity, you need Rishabh. If you don't have a Rishabh Pant batting in the second innings, or potentially tomorrow, I think that really is a 25% sway towards England winning the Test match.
Oh,
he's that good.
Michael started at parity, then said India could have the upper hand, and has finished by saying England have 25% chance ahead of winning this game. That tells you
that's if Rishabh cannot play any more part.
And I, in all fairness, it's a very fair thought, because you come to England, the one thing that you see is how much they admire Rishabh Pant. He walked in today, it was the loudest it had been at the day. They just love him. And that's the impact he's had in England and in general, Test cricket as well. He makes sure that it gets exciting and the contest is alive. Just like all the contests that you can play, if you download the Cricbuzz 11 app and just pay ₹1, you can play all the contests that are available, and there are plenty of it as well. And that's it from us at Cricbuzz Chatter. It's been an absolute pleasure. See you all tomorrow. So take care, and see you all again, same time, at the same place, which is Cricbuzz Chatter in association with Cricbuzz 11.